Okay, so for today, we're going through manual payments, and a definition for us of manual payments is basically non-credit card, non-direct debit. So that's things like cash, check, money order, those sort of things. And we'll just go through the different ways that you can do that. We will be covering quite a number of different options. I'll try and point out the benefits and why you would use one option over another option as we go through. But we will be looking at things like our manual payment entry screen, which is the obvious place. We'll be looking at a Lightning Web component called Transact Payment that you can add to a screen. We're touching on using the checkout form in manual payment mode and when you might want to do that and the advantages and things like that. And we'll also have a look at our make payment option, which is kind of like a bit of a shortcut menu option for entering manual payments. And we'll have a look at batch entry time permitting. So we'll try to keep this to half an hour, but we'll try and finish a little bit earlier before that. So if I get a bit too carried away, Vish, just jump in. So, so first of all, we're going to have a look at the manual payment screen. Now, this can be accessed in a number of different ways. The most common way would be from the manual payment tab at the top of the screen.
Jeff, can you share the screen so everyone can see?
Thanks for that. I always do that anyway, so I think I even put a note to remind people to okay, just confirming that you can see my manual payment screen. Oops, just make sure.
Yep, we can see it now.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Vish. Something simple. Okay, so the very first way here is to click on the manual payment tab at the top of the screen. The reason why you would tend to click on it from this option here as opposed to from a button on the contact or even on the payment form is because you're going to be entering multiple of those. When you access it this way, you can, it'll be asking you for the merchant facility and payment forms. Again, different merchant facilities for different, say, bank accounts, different payment forms for different types of payments, like an event or a just a simple payment or a membership or a donation or something like that. The quickest way here is to just start typing in a contact and selecting it, and that will enter the details. Once you tab off it, will start to show those details. If the contact doesn't already exist in your system, then you can just skip that first part and go to the second part and start keying in things like, name, address, and email. So if something has updated, such as email, then you can update this here as well. And, even phone numbers, if you happen to get those over the phone whilst you're taking that. You come down here and you choose the method of payment that you want, cash, check, money order, they transferred for electronic payment and amount. And when you are running this in this mode, it will have the save and new. So the idea behind this is you might have, say, half a dozen checks or, cash payments to enter all at once. You enter this here, and then that will take the payment, tells you it's made the payment, and then you go on to the next one. So it's a very simple way of entering a payment and recording that there. The manual payment button is also accessible from a contact record as well. So if you are, say, on, William Smith, you can press this. If the button doesn't exist in your instance, then you just edit your page layout and add that button there, and it will then show. The difference for this one is if you launch it from here, is you don't have to do a search for the contact because you already know who the contact is. Excuse me. For the second part we're going to talk about is the Transact payment. This is a Lightning Web component on the screen that you can edit and put onto the screen. what you'll notice is here is because I'm on the contact record, it has already located the contact and pre-filled that in. So to take a payment, all I would do here is simply press, enter the amount, 100, let's go 110, and then I can choose a cash, check, or money order, or even bank transfer, and it'll just go process. So that's the method of payment, enter those details. That's a nice quick way of doing this. This Lightning Web component can be added basically to any screen inside Salesforce. You can put it on your home page if you so wish. You can put it on a campaign member. So if you had a whole campaign and wanted to take payments for each person, just click through the next person, or even on a contact. The way that you add that is by going, this is for a system administrator, is you go edit page layout on the page that you want to add it. And what you'll see over here is a custom Lightning component that comes as part of Payments to Us called Transact Payment. We'll just wait for that to come up. And all you do there is then drag it onto the page and let it go. I won't let it go here, but that's adding it to the page. Once you add it to the page, you do have, so for the more advanced administrators and things like that, you can do some things here, like you can preset which merch facility it is going to be linked to and which payment form. You can do that there. So that way, if you know that this is always going to be a donation, then that would be linked to the donation component. You'll see on the page here that I've got campaign enabled as well. So check our online guides if that's not shown for you, because that's a field set, so you can drag and drop that onto the page to actually make it visible there. But what you can do here is you can preset the campaign as well if you want. Okay. Sometimes people might actually drag the Transact Payment onto, say, like an opportunity. If you do that there, then you might want to put, so on the opportunity, it's got a campaign linked to it, for example, so you can automatically default that. Anyway, our online user guide has some more things here. And when it comes to method of payments, if you only wanted to say allow cash, check, and you can also restrict the payment methods by going like that as well, and then go and save. And then that wouldn't give all of those options, it would just give the options that you've got there. Again, so to make, there is a whole lot of more information behind the scenes on that. But basically that's how you would add it to that page. That's some of the high-level overview of some of those options that you can do to configure the Transact Payment. But once it's added to the contact, just going back to this, the Transact Payment, that's a really simple way of, pre-fills all the contact details. Basically, you just put the amount in and the method and go process, and then it will generate the payment. You can also do credit cards here, and then that will end up sending off the receipt, etc., and processing it as normal. Okay, so that's method 2. First one is through manual payments. Second one is through Transact Payment. The third one is enabling an option on our merchant facility that says manual as well. So I've gone to the merchant facility tab here. I'm clicking into our demo facility, and I'm going click on the payment methods that I'm going to allow here. I'll click edit, and what I'm going to do now is enable manual payment, and I go save. Now with these forms, they are designed so that the checkout forms would normally go on your website, and it would normally be like an instant real-time payment. So what you're going to find here is when you enable this, if I click on our normal checkout form URL, what you're going to notice here, if I scroll down to the method of payments, see there is no other method of payment showing here, like it's just giving me the check option. And the reason for that is because the manual option is not available when it's on your public website. Okay, because it doesn't kind of make sense registering transactions. More manual payments is normally more of an internal facing side of things. I will go through an option of how you could look at doing that at some stage, but let's go through this at the moment. Okay, so I'm on my merchant facility here, and again, I've got the thing called payment forms related to that. Now, what you'll notice is when I'm logged inside Salesforce, that's kind of the URLs that are kind of my internal Salesforce forms. So this time when I click on the credit card payment against the payment form, what that will do is it's going to launch the form in what we call our internal mode. So this is running inside of Salesforce, not the URL. It doesn't have .lightning.force.com, whereas this one has .my.salesforce-sites.com. So different URL for public versus internal. So what happens now is when I'm on that form, see I've got the option of paying here by manual. Okay. Now when I do that brings up the manual options here as well, and I can enter in all those details and key it in. Okay. The times that you might really want to use this option for your manual payment, it works much better for those organisations that are using the memberships with the group side of things. The normal manual payment form inside Salesforce does work for memberships with groups of memberships, but it's much more complex and not as easy to use, whereas the checkout form running in manual mode would be a great way of doing that. Okay, so that's kind of why you would want to use that primarily, and also things like events as well and tickets. If you run those in an internal mode as well, that would actually work with manual payments, cash, check, money order. Okay. So remember we talked about, so we've gone through the manual payment tab, great for general entry. Transact payment is great because it's on the contact pre-fills, probably one of my more favourite options. The checkout form is better for memberships. Okay, another thing we're going to point out here is when I'm on the contact, let's go back to our friend William. You'll notice here we've got credit card payment. So what that is really doing is launching our credit card checkout form. But again, because I'm with inside Salesforce as opposed to the public-facing URLs on the website, so it's pre-populated William's details in the manual mode. I can put in my amount here. This time I can choose manual, again run an internal mode, and I can enter in all those details. It defaulted these details that had already taken a payment previously from Will, and this is all I have to do is put the credit card number. The details that we already know about a person, we try to default those in as well. Okay, we have had the occasional use case. Again, this is probably for some people that may want to, say, like if you've got a service person and that service person wants to have like a link to actually record receiving of a check or a cash payment from somebody. Say if you've gone out to fix their air conditioner or put solar panels on or something like that, and you want to make a link externally available, we do actually have a method of making those publicly facing forms have a manual payment option too, if your use case calls for that. Again, this is a little bit more of an advanced side of things. But what you do there is you come into the URL tokens, and what we're going to do is set up a payment form that will allow the manual option, but outside of your Salesforce logged on user. And again, the other use case for this might be to have a form for somebody at reception and give them that form where they can enter those details. So what you do here is you'd normally select a merchant facility and your payment form as well. But what you do is down the bottom here, we have a checkbox that says allow for manual payment external, and you click that and go save. So this URL here, when I click on that, this one would be the one that I would put on reception, and then they will also have the ability to enter manual payments here, okay? Or if this was a service person, we can pre-populate things like contact details, opportunity, etc. But I would be looking at giving them that type of URL as well. Okay, so that way they can actually record the payment. Okay. So to recap again, so option 1 is manual payments tab. Option 2 is the transact payment against the contact record. Option 3 is the checkout form with the manual payment method allowed, and we've extended that to also make that, so that's normally for internal use only, but we have shown you a method to do that externally. What we also have here as well is when you're on a contacts, this is not available at the account level. So if I go to contacts, we have a different way of accessing these forms as well. So if I go into, I'll go into Will again. He's been quite generous today and given us lots of payments. You've got this button here, manual payment, credit card payment, and then we have another one here that says make payment. Again, if this is not not added to your system, then you can get your Salesforce admin to add it to the page layout. So when you go to make payment, what that does is this brings up a selection criteria, which is a combination of payment forms and merchant facilities. So I've got lots of different merchant facilities, and merchant facility have for each different bank account. The options I have here is credit card or manual. So if I choose credit card and I've got the allow manual payment, it will also enable it here. But if I choose manual payment here, I can. This is for organisations that would have lots of different bank accounts and lots of different payment forms, or maybe just one merchant facility bank account and lots of payment forms, and the payments need to be easily flicked between each of those. So you might be taking a payment for a donation, you might be taking a payment for a membership, you might be just taking a cash payment because they've bought a widget. For this one here, I'm going to choose manual, I go donation, and what that has done is it's no longer asking me for, when I went to manual payment the first time, it asked me for the merchant facility payment form. I'm no longer having to do that. It already knows who the contact is. So for this donation, I'm going to choose cash again, and the donation amount was $56. Okay, save. No, this time it doesn't have save in new. Okay. The make payment button is good for people that have lots of different payment forms and they want to easily flick between them, would be the primary thing. Cool. We have another payment method. Can you send somebody downstairs to open the door?
Yeah, sure.
And we have the next one we have here is also a what we call batch entry. So underneath here we come into batch entry. Note the batch entry option is there's an extra license option from us. Batch entry is typically enabled for or used by those people that get like a lot of payments, particularly say like a Christmas appeal where you might get hundreds of checks at a time. and you need a quick way of managing that. What happens in organisations that do get a lot of these at one time is they often have one particular person that would be a volunteer or maybe a staff member that would say group checks up into groups of say 25. So this is typically from like a direct mail appeal as well. So they would get 25 checks, they group them, put rubber band around it, and say 25 checks, and they put like a total on it. Says $2,512. Okay, they pass it on to the next person, which then goes and enters it into Salesforce. The way that they enter it into Salesforce is they would create a new batch. Again, that batch is going to be linked to a merchant facility and a payment form. And that payment form, you might have like a reference that you have, a date, bank deposit date. If there's checks, say you were going to take it to the bank on Friday, so you put Friday's date rather than today's date. If you want to default the campaign for everything in there, so it's all the same campaign, or enter it as you go. This is where you enter the amount for your batch, such as 200, and we've got 2 people here that are going to say that would be normally 25 or something like that. I'm just going to do 2 entries today. That creates it like a batch header, right? So that'd be like the thing that you have attached to that bundle of checks. The batch entry line has a few features in here that would normally say supported number, that can be member number. If you have the member number, you can just scan that using your barcode scanner. The member number, if it has, so this would be on your direct mail, it would be like a barcode type thing. And that can also include like a campaign code as well. So dash X23 for Christmas 23. Anyway, if I tab off that, that will locate that particular person, so that's Sue. I'll put my cursor automatically into the amount field, so I can put in the amount, and I can put I'll put a credit card this time, but we can mix credit cards and cash as well. If the person did not exist on file, then I can key in all of those details, like first name, last name, etc. Or I can I can look up the person using the contact as well. So Will last time paid cash, maybe going to pay cash again this time. But if it was check, it would also recall those other details there. So what we've done here is we've also not only quickly located the contact and put the cursor into the to the amount column. We've also selected how they paid last time to hopefully save a click there as well, and things like check with got bank and those sort of details. So all I have to do here is put in the check number, go save and new. Obviously, if I make any issue edits in here, I can process that. You can see here that that blue line's gone all the way across. I've got number of transactions expected was 2 out of 2, and I expected 2 out of 200. So everything matches. Once I'm happy with that, I simply come in here and go process batch. That will go do my charge the credit card, generate receipts and things like that that we need. Also, obviously for cash, it would note it as that. Cool. So that's a bit about manual payments. So just to recap, we went to the manual payments tab first off, and that's great for kind of ad hoc cash payments. We went to the contact and also pressed the manual payment tab. One of the other options is when we're on a contact is we could also use the Transact Payment Lightning Web component, and we can also we also had a look at the checkout form on the merchant facility enabling manual payments mode. Talked about how that would normally be used for just internal things, how that's great for memberships with the group option, the family type membership, and we also talked about the make payment. That option is a quick way of kind of pre-selecting payment forms. We went through batch entry, which is when you get like a whole lot of donations, normally donations at like a Christmas or end of financial appeal, and you want a quick way of entering them, particularly with barcode scanning and the like. Cool. We'll open it up for questions. I think I've seen Vic has been busy answering, so thanks for that.
Yeah. Jeff, we have a few questions regarding annual payments. Can you explain the subscription, the membership number or subscription number, and how that works for Jan?
For the manual payment?
Yeah.
Oh, you've got the okay. So you've got the enable search by membership turned on. So that'll be similar to, I think for that one. When you got that on, I might have to double check, but I think you just enter it's similar to that other one that I had. So just enter that and no, I haven't got membership number. That's the contact. But I have default from membership number. But it should be similar to the batch payment. We just enter the number and then tab off it, and then that should locate that member based off that number.
Yeah, I think she was talking about batch entry. Sorry, not membership one.
Okay. So for the batch, so on the contact record, let me just try and see if I can find number 11. I'm probably going to end up with lots because I chose like I think it was this person. So there's a field that we have internally, which is called membership number, and you can see that here. Some people rename this field to supporter number. So that's in our consult or payments to us managed field. So that's got the number 11 in there. So when I was on the batch entry, it asked me for the membership number or supporter number, and then basically as soon as I tabbed off, it was able to locate that contact based off that number. Yeah. Hopefully that answers that.
And we have one more query from John. He wants to know if can we enter bank BSP and account number in transact payment, and will that draw money from their bank account directly?
No, manual payments doesn't. So transact payment doesn't have the ability to go through like the direct debit type system at this stage. So it's only credit cards that would be actually transacted. All of the manual payment options that we've gone through today are assuming that you're kind of recording the information and that actual banking happens external to that. So if you put EFT and enter those details, it's just you recording those, like you'd record them off a check or something like that. It's not actually going to transact.
And we have one more question from Annie Hamilton. She's asking, can we have more than one transact payment items on contact record, for example, for donation or membership?
Yes, I don't see any reason why you can't. You can drag that component on twice, and you could set one up for donation, one up for membership. I'm not quite sure how, at this stage, you would, highlight which one was which on the component because they both look very similar. So that's a good suggested, enhancement that we put a way you can put some sort of label. So functionally working, I don't see an issue. It's more of a case of how do you know that one was for donation, one was for membership. Oh, actually, sorry, let me just go back and just check one thing. I think there is a way you can show, in the field set, you can actually show, you can show the merchant facility and payment form. I think you just drag it on to there. Have a look at the config things, and that would at least then show you that you'll set one for donation and one for membership. And this is not really designed that much for membership processing. It's more for donations and manual entry.
Yeah, and one more question that's popped up multiple times is, when we select like credit card for payment, do we need to enter CVV details there, or can it process without that as well?
So for there is a user guide on what payment gateways support what. But when you're using transact payment, batch entry, CCV is not required for pretty much all payment gateways. The checkout form option is definitely required for Easy Debit and Stripe, for example. So that's even if you run the checkout form in the internal mode that we talked about. But for other payment gateways, if you run the checkout form in internal mode, you won't have to enter the CCV.
One more question from Josephine is, if you leave some of the contact details blank when you're doing a manual payment, will it update the existing data with blanks, or will it just keep it?
This is for all fields. It won't update. So our like-for-like copy and updates of the contact won't overwrite anything with blank. It'll only overwrite it if it's got a value in it. So if you enter in like a new mobile phone number, it'll update that. But if you were to say blank out the mobile phone number and there was one there previously, it's not going to blank it out on the contact.
Anyone has any other questions, or even if you have any suggestions, you can feel free to just let us know, and we can definitely take that under consideration.
Okay, and with running these webinars and things like that, something that does really help us to bring these and to make these available all the time is with people doing App Exchange reviews. We really do appreciate those and love them. That obviously helps us, and by helping us means we can add more to the product and things like that, and hopefully bring out more and more features that help you with your business as well. So I think we've used half an hour. With that, I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully that's helped out a little bit more with understanding of manual payments and how they work and the various options.
Cool. Thanks, everyone, for joining.
Have a good day.
Have a nice day. Bye.